And there he is with us now, weighed in, ready to go. Paddy The Baddy Pimblett. It's been a busy week for you, man. It's hard to believe just 15 months ago you had your first fight in the UFC, and now you're on a main card in Vegas, co-main event. 15 months later, has this week been a little different for you?
Nah, this is just normal for me now. I always do more interviews than everyone, even when I'm opening up the main card. This is just standard procedure for me now. I'm used to it.
Oh, there you
just
go.
had some Nutella then, lads, what it is.
Yeah, you're all good.
Yeah.
You're all good. When you were going into that presser yesterday, did you know you're going to have that kind of back and forth that you had with him?
He's obsessed with me, isn't he? Like, he uses me to stay in the public eye because no one cares about his life. You know what I mean? No one cares about his existence. So he uses my fame, my publicity, and tries to feed off it. No one cares about him. That's the thing. He's irrelevant to my life. That's why I just called him a chorizo.
What is that? What is it?
A chorizo.
Oh, a chorizo.
Yeah, I can
Spanish
interpret if you need to. I
Sausage,
speak
yeah,
fast.
you know, food, right? Always take it to
Always
food,
about
Daddy.
food, lad. You know me. You know me, lad.
So, but in that, like, why do you still engage with him?
Because I'm not going to sit there and let someone try and talk pony. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
put him right in his place. It's one of them things. And he got asked a question about his opponent, Bryce, and then finished it off by talking about me.
Yeah.
It shows how much I'm in his head, rent-free. You know what I mean? I'm living inside his head. But he uses me to try and stay relevant. That's the thing. And that's
He
why I
was
have
like
to laugh.
he was like shaking.
Oh, I know,
during that
that's
presser.
what I
That was
mean. I was
crazy.
laughing
Yeah,
at him, and he was
emotional.
angry.
He wants
Very
to fight,
emotional.
And then you got Bryce Mitchell over there like, why isn't he talking about me?
Everybody's pissed off on stage. But here's the thing, though, right? Like, for people like us and for the fans, they love this type of But it's not the guys that are fighting. You and Jared Gordon are fine.
Yeah.
Right? Would you prefer to have that with Jared Gordon? Or are you better in the situation where you guys are very respectful and everything else?
I don't mind. I really don't care. A fight's a fight. Doesn't matter what emotions you've got before it, whether you respect them or whether you hate the guts. When that cage door closes, none of that matters.
But seeing Ilya that emotional, right? You can draw something from that. With Jared, what are you seeing from him?
Nothing. I'm just seeing someone I'm
Nothing.
about to beat.
Yeah.
Patty, you got to settle the debate. Did you and Jared roll or not?
Yeah.
Because that was, for some reason, a major talking point.
Yeah,
one
it
of,
was mad.
one
He
of you
went-
says it happened, one of you says
He
it
went
didn't.
from saying, he went from saying, when I seen you in the changing rooms, you looked at the floor. So when I said no, we rolled. He said, I wasn't there then. It must have been 2017. I wasn't in America in 2017. I only went to Henzo's once, and it was a 2-week period in March 2018. And he tried to say he was in Milwaukee, but 2 minutes earlier said, oh, yeah, when I seen you, you looked at the floor.
Do you think he actually knows that you guys
No,
rolled,
I
or you think he
can't
honestly
remember it.
doesn't?
I honestly think he doesn't remember.
Because you were out of shape then.
Yeah,
You didn't really even
I was
know.
like 88 kilo at the time, you know what I mean? I was fat. So
So
it
he
that
was
just
like-
didn't
that's like-
recognize
But you
Yeah.
also
Like
remember, like,
200
Jared was,
pounds
like, bad on drugs at the time. And he said he wore long-sleeve shirts to hide, like, the tracks that he had on his arms from the
I
drugs
think
from
it
maybe.
started to come to him a little bit later because he started to like do that, know what I mean? But as I say, I don't mind. I just don't like getting called a liar. Know
He
what I
might
mean?
just not remember.
He might just not remember. Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of the opponent, I mean, having been live for one of your walkouts, I mean, I knew that they were big. I had no idea what the energy was like until I was in the O2 in London. Same capacity at the T-Mobile Arena, but now American fans, what do you think the walkout's going to be like this
It's going to be
time?
wild. It's going to be the same as always. The most electrifying entrance that you've ever seen. DC saw it in the Apex with 200 people there. Even in the Apex,
It was still
with
loud.
200 people, it was still loud. Like, watch when there's 20,000 people there. You're going to have seen nothing like it.
I look forward to it. It's gonna be
Everyone is saying this is your biggest test to date. Do you agree with them? Do you think that
No.
Jared brings the most to the table?
No.
Who do you think?
I think Luigi Vendramini.
Okay.
I think my debut opponent, he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He had power in his hands. I think he would have knocked Jared Gordon out, but then I also think my second toughest test was Jordan, someone who'd never been finished before. He was 10-1. I think he'd out-grapple Jared, know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think he's my toughest test. I think he's my most battle-tested opponent. He's fought for who's who, you could say, where he's fought Charles Oliveira and stuff. And he's like, his last loss was Grant Dawson, even though I think I'd school Grant Dawson easily.
Do you feel like any extra pressure at all, that being that this is a main
I asked
event,
him
co-main
that the other
event?
day.
No,
Nothing.
I don't feel pressure, lad. If you feel pressure, you're in the wrong sport.
Do you get anxiety?
No,
You don't get no butterflies in your stomach before you fight.
no. This is
Really?
what
You
I'm
just
meant
go out
to
there and
do.
you love it.
I'm
How about
meant to
before
do this.
training? Do you get butterflies in your stomach before training? Like because a
only
lot of
time
times I
maybe-
get nervous before
The
training
only
because I
time
want to like work my
maybe you get a
hardest,
few
right?
butterflies is when you go to a different gym to spar because you
Yeah.
don't know how they're gonna. You don't know if they're gonna try and take your head off or they're gonna be
Yeah.
nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get a few little butterflies before the song comes on, standing there. But when that song comes on, lad, that's it.
love
When
it.
my walkout song comes on, I'm at home. This is where I'm meant to be. I don't feel more comfortable anywhere else than walking out to that cage.
That's a big asset to have. That's huge.
Dan?
So you've talked before about your conversations with Connor. I think it was over just DMs.
Twitter, yeah.
Have you talked to him since then? Because I wonder, does he give you advice on how to approach these? You have been in the news for like 3 or 4 different things all week, and your name's out there, and obviously it's good, right? Any
Yeah.
news is good news. Has he given you any additional advice since you guys initially had communication?
No. The only time I spoke to Connor was when I was in the pub a couple of months back. He was on FaceTime, but I could hardly hear a word he said because the music was so loud. I couldn't really hear. I think he said something about my cheeks because I was chubby at the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Someone told me that biggest fight we'll put on is you'll fight Connor when Connor's about done. Do you see you guys ever?
You never know. It could happen. You know what I mean? It would be I've said it before. It'd be the biggest pay-per-view the UFC has ever seen. But we'll see what happens. I've got to beat Jared first. That's that simple. You know what I mean? Everything falls apart if I don't beat Jared. So I'm gonna beat Jared in spectacular fashion and have everyone talking about me after this card.
Paddy, there was a really cool moment in Embedded when you were doing that appearance, and one of the fans came up specifically to thank you for your post-fight speech about mental health and about suicide prevention. What is it like to have someone come up to you and say, "You saved my life"?
It's special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you can't really put it into words. I've had a few people say it to me, and it's just like, wow, I didn't mean for that to happen. You know what I mean? I felt like I had to say something about it because of what happened with Ricky. And the amount of people that have said to me, "Oh, you've saved my life. I've spoke to someone because of that." It's crazy. You know what I mean? I only said something on a mic. And I'm going to try and reach out to that person anyway and see if he wants to come to the show. I think I've got 2 spare tickets. I'm going to ask him, does he want to come on Saturday?
I think it's interesting for people to hear too that you've been at that spot. You've talked about that, your own mental health struggles, but then what we also talked about, the electricity that you bring to every time you're in a building, every time you walked out. How did you go from being someone who is at those depths, those points in their life, to being the guy that we see now, just brimming with confidence and energy?
Well, even before, like, I was brimming with the confidence and energy before I ended up going into that horrible depressed state, to be honest. I'm not that confident in any walk of life apart from fighting. I am just so confident when it comes to fighting because I know it's what I was put on this earth to do. I was put on this earth to fight and entertain people. And when I get in the cage, I do both. Like, so I'm so confident when it comes to that. But when it comes to anything else, I'm not. The one prime example I use is when I met my fiance about 11 years ago, she threw the lips on me. You know what I mean? I didn't kiss her.
Good for her.
She kissed me.
Wow.
Good for her.
Because I'm a kazi, you know what I mean? I'm
Does that
scared.
mean charming? You're charming?
If I don't know, lad, it's just I was scared to throw the lips on her, so she had to
Oh,
throw
okay,
them on
okay.
me. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like
Throw the lips. I love that.
any other walk of life, I'm not that confident. You know what I mean? But when it comes to fighting, I am confident because I know how good I am.
Paddy the Baddy, he always gives you something that you're going to remember in each and every interview, and this time it is, I'm going to throw the lips on you. That's what I'm going to say to my wife when I
Make
go,
a song.
Paddy, thanks, brother.
Throw the
Hey, good luck.
lips.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck,
Be
buddy.
safe.
Good luck, my guy.